This is a case of, if you're used to great, good often just isn't good enough.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And, we do this with Nvidia a lot. And I think it's really, the pressure on the most publicly valuable, publicly traded company in the world and so on. But let's talk about these numbers. So 54 billion US dollars in sales forecast. So we're talking about the guidance for the current quarter that we're in now. I mean, it didn't miss expectations. That was in line mostly with expectations, just because some, bullish voices out there were looking for more than 60 billion US dollars. I don't think that this should be treated as AI trades out the window under, a lot of stress at the moment. So I think we need to be a little bit careful with some of the headlines that we are seeing this morning. So that's one thing. And does it actually signal something that goes beyond this particular quarter and the year? I mean, we keep talking about the virtually monopolistic market position for Nvidia. So I think it's a little too early for that. But what's your take?
Yeah, so I think you talked about it a couple of seconds ago, right? The things to be watching, and I think the key touch points for this set of earnings is one, on the data center front, revenue came in a little bit lighter than I think some investors would have liked, and that's important, right? Because this all speaks to the data center buildup and whether demand is still there, and whether or not, as Sam Altman was saying or warning just a couple of days ago, we are in an AI bubble, right? Is this thing peaking, or is there more to go? So I think data center ramp is something very interesting to watch. The other key touch point, I think, is China. Yeah. Didn't sell any H20s in the second quarter, didn't include H20 sales in their outlook, which would be for the future, right? Which raises a lot of questions about how much they're going to be able to sell into China and derive revenue from China at a time when technically and legally, hey, the Trump administration just decided a couple of weeks ago H20 chips can go back into China, but it's China now saying, hold on, I'm not so sure. Back doors could be a security risk for us, Chinese national security risks. And by the way, we're trying to do it ourselves in any case, and we're telling our guys, don't buy U.S., but buy local and try and build local. Yeah,
so how Jensen Huang manages this somewhat, I don't know, not so friendly lines that are coming out of Beijing is going to be really critical, whether China's demand stays intact for Nvidia's H20 chips. But I think there were some reports suggesting out there, and it didn't really receive too much attention than the ones, that talked about that 15% of China revenue going to the U.S. government per se. But, things were not ready in terms of the paperwork, getting that necessary licensing coming from the Trump administration when it comes to resuming sales of H20 chips to China. So I think that's one thing that we need to pay attention to. And let's just simply talk about the demand going forward. So from that press release of Nvidia, sure, no H20 sales to China in the second quarter. However, they did release $180 million US worth of chips to a customer outside of China. So, there is that demand. I think Bush was talking about the demand-supply ratio being like 10-1 or something. So they're not meeting demands, and I think that should be the fundamental story that should be better understood. But of course, I'm just a reporter very much interested in AI chips as well. But you know what? Let's pose that question.
As am I. So I tell you what, I want to add on to that, Chery, if I could, right? Bill Bishop, whom we've spoken to on this show, right? Cynicism, etc. Picked up on what you were talking about. Nvidia benefiting from $180 million worth of a release of previously reserved H20 inventory. This is from approximately $650 million in unrestricted H20 sales to a customer outside of China. And Bill ends this by saying, I wonder which customer. So I think this speaks to skirting sanctions, maybe some smuggling going on, third countries. I don't know. But yeah, worth following.
We're following for sure.